Is that a false start? All right, great to have all of you on the live. You didn't miss anything. Good to have all of you here. We lost about a minute and 20 seconds or so. But thanks to you folks who are alert. We have the audio on there. Penelope and Colleen and Elizabeth Williams, Luann and Orwin Dunn. Good to have each and every one of you on the live, good folks. And you all keep us going. Good to have you folks here. Share. Now that we have sound clear, share that live for us. Smash that emoji. But wherever you're joining us from this evening, folks, we are happy and delighted that you are here with us. Good folks, we're just happy to be here. Please and thank you. We are just happy to be here. Good to see you, Tessa Griffith. Tessa, how you doing? You know, I growing up know that you don't mess with Tessas, you know. You don't play around Tessas, folks. We are happy, as I said, to have all of you wonderful folks here with us. We got Joylyn, Everil, we got Desiree, we got Erwin, we got Cheryl, Lyndon Gill. Good to have each and every one of you on the live, good folks. Great to have you all here with us. And we got a couple of things we want to fling your way this evening. A couple of things as we come on tonight. A couple of things we want to throw your way. Apologies there. Said it right now. A couple of things we want to throw your way as we come on. Great to have all of you folks with us. Share the live, folks. Wherever you're joining us from, welcome. As I said, we have a guest who's going to be dropping by. But good to see Janet is already here, and Myrna Toby and Andrew and Toano and Roxanne and Penelope and Everil and Renella Garnett and Gail and Robin and Chef and the whole gang is here, folks, and we're just happy and delighted that you've joined us this evening. You all know when we carry on in the National Assembly. And when I mean carry on, I mean when we stood up for the people's rights. Some folks had a lot to say. That was the night they passed the local, the Natural Resource Fund bill. They also passed the local content bill. And now both items they want to bring back and say, you know what? They need some work. Somebody moved the mace, a lot of accusations were pelting around. But we look apparently as militant, even if a little less so, than what we saw recently in the Bahamian Parliament, folks. What we saw in the Bahamian Parliament. And that's the opener tonight. That's the opener tonight. The Bahamian's different, you know. Folks, the things start inside the house. Ended up outside of the assembly there in the Bahamas. Then I get the country right. You know, you all talk a lot of things about us. But sometimes you got to speak truth to power. And to words, sometimes you got to add action. Everil, you got to add action as well. And if folks can take the rumble and tumble of politics, maybe we got to move aside. Just maybe we got to move aside. Look at what we saw recently, folks. As I said, this is the Bahamas and what happened, what transpired in the Bahamian Parliament. Not the folks can, it's not a pia business politics is, you know. It's not no pia business. You got to know you got to want to rough and tumble. Take a look, take a listen.
Address you. You don't know what that address entails.
But I have an opportunity to speak.
We will deal with that when I get to that order of business. The chair recognizes the honorable member for Freetown.
Madam Speaker.
Whenever, okay.
Government may have its way, the opposition ought to have its say, Madam Speaker. You have an opportunity in your discretion to permit us to put on the public record our views on a matter of critical importance.
Now I will say. Get him! Ah, my. My lord. My Lord. My Lord. My Lord. My Lord. I mean, all over me. You think it's right? Do you think it's right? Honorable members, remove that member from this place. Remove the honorable member for St. Barnabas from these proceedings. It has been moved and seconded that the business of this House be suspended until for 15 minutes. As many are in favor will remain seated. Those opposed will stand. You wet me up? Disgusting.
There you have it. Things moved from inside to outside. Y'all better not play with our Bahamian brothers and sisters. I hope you all see them firsthand. That the different, right? The different. Y'all don't come around them funny. Bahamian brothers and sisters, different. As we out there, let's touch on a couple of things that are happening in the Caribbean currently, folks. There's a new president of the Caribbean the Development Bank. I wonder which country is from. Which country is from? This is the 7th president of the Caribbean Development Bank, and he has been lauded for his extensive career at the bank. He's transitioning upwards, and his deep understanding of the Caribbean development needs, and it has been emphasized, there's a critical role that he will play in restoring the bank's focus to its core mandate. Of course, you know, the Caribbean Bank has been in quite a few scandals quite recently, and I hope they kind of push that stuff in the background, no pun intended, in the background, and return to doing what banks are supposed to do. Return to doing what they are supposed to do. Again, folks, this is Mr. Best. This is one Mr. Best, and he's coming in now, and hopefully his tenure is long. He settles down. Daniel Best, and get some work done there at the Caribbean Development Bank. What if he's from the Bahamas? I wonder. They're different there, you know. Very, very, very different there in the Bahamas, folks. We're following some things locally here as well, and we're going to show them by you. Could you imagine you got works happening in the cemetery in Guyana? You know, your friend loves the cemeteries, dream about it, want to do a live and so on from the cemetery and so on. But you could have work happening there. Come on, Sheriff. And the mayor and city council don't know. Sheriff and securing alone, you know. Sheriff is security and they're doing construction. When a government want to work with City Hall to say, we want to do X, Y, or Z, you just see things happening. Nobody says anything. And they want to call that good governance, development, one Guyana. You all don't find something wrong with that. Bigly. Something is wrong with that. City Hall said they don't know what's happening. It's not the first time. Won't be the first time the government doing something. City Hall don't know what's transpiring, what's going on. Come on, Sheriff. Come on, government of Guyana. You know, we can work hand in hand. Bypassing City Hall is not going to help. So some construction happening there is in very close proximity to tombs. So human remains could be exposed there. That's a public health, pressing on a public health issue. This story here we're following. They're telling us by mid-next year, the Bath Regional Hospital is going to be operational. You know, they put in a hospital in Bath, and then right next door, Hope Town. Once the village, you got the other hospital. You got another regional hospital there. in this one, Guyana. So you walk up the street, less than 5 minutes, one regional hospital. You walk down, sir, there's another one. Be careful. The seeds you also in. You see what's happening with City Hall? Being bypassed and all kinds of stuff. You see what's happening in communities in this country. And we're going to ask our guests about some of this quite shortly. We're going to ask our guests. So this is one of the things we're following, this hospital coming to Bath. And motorists, you guys on the East Coast, you know the East Coast never had a whole host of traffic when the East Bank was suffering with all of that. Now I don't know what is happening on the East Coast. You could hardly get down the East Coast in the mornings without a hassle. Hardly ever. You got to leave your house 3 and 4 o'clock in the morning. Now they're doing some construction work on the East Coast. Those of you who use that thoroughfare there. The trucks are prohibited. This is according to the Ministry of Public Works. All truck drivers and operators, FYI, effective immediately, heavy vehicles are prohibited. Just go this wake up and do stuff in the cemetery and nobody don't know. Immediately prohibited from using the railway embankment carriageway. All trucks immediately. So this measure is due to the rapid deterioration of the existing infrastructure because they aren't fixing it. Right? You got to repair and maintain. But if you just leave it for 4 years, what do you expect? And believe it or not, this is how that carriageway was when they lost power in 2015. Might be a harbinger of things to come. This is how it was. We got to maintain, repair. That's how you go down the road. You come through Conversation 3, all the way down to Duncan Street now. That recently rehabilitated road, less than a month old, less than 2 months old. Simulated waves. You go down Heroes Highway, you better buckle up. For your own good and your own safety, you had better buckle up. You think it's one thing wrong in this country? You think it's one thing? A number of issues challenging us. I saw quite recently former senior policeman Paul Slow, retired as the Assistant Commissioner of Police. He said, if you see story happening with the Guyana Police Force, you think it's one thing wrong? He said they're about to open a floodgate. They are about to open a floodgate in the Guyana Police Force to the any and the all sorts. I think he called it undesirables. The any and the all sorts. Folks, we ought to be careful. Please and thank you. We ought to be careful. Take a look at what Slow said recently.
Assistant Commissioner of Police Paul Slow has said that the Guyana Police Force has again changed its entry requirements.
That the police have embarked on another recruitment drive. Police embark on another recruitment drive. They're trying to recruit because, as we have been saying on this program, and the evidence, they don't bring the information, but the evidence shows that they have been every week dozens and dozens of policemen and women are leaving the force.
Initially, the force had stated that the recruit needed to have passes in the Caribbean Secondary Education Certificate, CSEC. He said that the brain drain that sparked the recruitment is due to dissatisfaction among the ranks.
So they recognize the hemorrhaging, and we understand they have now embarked on a new recruit program, a new recruit drive. But hear the story. Hear the story. Even though sometime this year, I think it was, it might have been last year, I can't remember exactly when, they announced this new criteria for joining the force, which includes CXC subjects and all of that. that they made that announcement publicly, that you have to get these things to join. I understand in this new recruitment drive, they're telling you you don't have to have any CXC. You don't even have to take an examination.
He said that the entry requirement prevented any recruitment.
If you are going to be recruited into the force and you're so desperate that you're saying no academic qualification, and you're saying you don't have to take any written examination, it simply means that you might be opening the floodgates for a lot of undesirable characters.
Slow said that it's mind-boggling that the force could be recruiting people who can't read or write.
What happens when during the training process? What happens? How are you going to test them to know if they're qualified powers of arrest? This thing is frightening. Because if you have people like that, already you have people who they say can read and write. And you have the difficulties. You have people's rights being violated and all of that. Can you imagine, therefore, if you were to go this way, as it is being alleged, and recruit people who don't have to write an examination, therefore you can't test how literate they are? Can you imagine what's going to happen down the road?
Retired Assistant Commissioner of Police Clinton Conway described the situation in the force as a crisis.
Stand now with the crisis going on in terms of recruiting. Home Affairs offering persons money for each person that you recruit. They're offering to pay you a certain amount of money. That is the allegation of floating around. But when you're taking these people, you know, people with no academic qualification, people who can't read and write, you don't have to write a test. A lot of undesirable persons will enter the Guyana police force.
You heard it there, folks. A lot of undesirables. Folks, we need some order in this country now. We need some order. I see my guest is already here. So let me hasten. Let me hasten because I see my guest is already here and I'm very, very privileged to have him. We need some order. So we're talking there about, we started by talking about the railway embankment, and as we were on traffic matters, the police force, what's happening with the Guyana police force? There's some other things happening as well. You know, mysterious things happening in this country. You don't always have an answer for it. Businessman who shot an alleged thief with $1 million bail. You know, something like this happened to a guest of mine coming up. I am fingered, anything like this. You'd be held for about 3 months. Back and forth. Habeas corpus suspended. Businessman Puran Singh, 52, he's been released on $1 million bail following his arrest for fatally shooting a man he claimed was stealing from his property. Stealing from his property. Singh reported the incident to the Vigilance Police Station, stated that he fired his licensed firearm 9mm pistol after seeing the individual removing Heineken beers from his premises early Sunday morning. The man was shot and killed. I saw a mother today on social media asking for the driver of a truck. You know, person having any information of his whereabouts. Head-on collision, killed her son. Driver can't be found. Disappear. Justice in this country looks different to different people. Look very, very different to different people. And then there's this other story we're following as well. You know, this next story we're following is all manner of things happening in this country now. All manner of things. There's this barometer miner now. He's charged with murder. It is kind of, I wouldn't want to even say fascinating, folks, how easy it is to take people's life in this country. How easy it is. 30-year-old minor. Erisa John. He's from a place called Casey Creek, Barometer. He's been charged with murder of one Dion Thomas. Appeared recently before Acting Chief Magistrate Faith Magusti at the Port Kaituma Magistrates Court. Not required to plead to this indictable charge, remanded to prison. It is so easy. It is so easy. It is fascinating what is passing in this country. It is fascinating. And while we're there, folks, to show you, before my guest comes, maybe I'll ask him to comment on this. I want to show you where we are as a country. I can ask you about cash grant, but cash grant sharing $100,000 per Guyanese adult. Recently in Bartica, Bartica again. Bartica recently gave us that hybrid Santa, the Santa Claus, mixed with some Easter Bunny. Don't know. Made it with an Easter Bunny somehow. You get this hybrid. You can suffice a name. But hear what one citizen said transpired in Bartica. This is not a cash grant yet. There's some toys sharing out. And why people in a crunch in this country? Here was some of this resident said about what transpired in Bartica recently. Toy drive, Toy drive. Take a listen. Bartica again.
Now I see why so much bullying in school. Because y'all parents and self is some bully. Like, even y'all can bully little children. What more y'all can do? I went out there anyway. We just sitting on the pavilion. Anyway, and said sit down, then go come to us. Bye. I sit down nice with me 5 children them there. You know, when I watch her going, I saw them people grabbing, pushing the chair and get one blackout. If you see how them bully, oh my God, them people is some bully. Some parents got one child and collect 4 or 5 gifts. Some parents collect care out the center ground in a vehicle and come back again for collect. We there watching them from the pavilion. And them bring some little one now, for them stupid people was sit down and saw, how? When they bring that, you don't understand the same people who don't collect big gift bag. If you see Bartica and whoever else went there, y'all need to change your dirty ways. And you look shameful.
Yeah. They scramble for the gift. She should have videoed them, We there. When people turn our attention and said, here are sisters saying in this oil producing republic. You see, some of it got to do with your little brought up men. But see, when you get catching a crunch, Christmas coming. You don't even know if the cash grant coming to you because they already told us some people getting it till after the next budget, some getting it now. You don't know which part of this puzzle you fall in. And this is how people are left to operate now. They rip out your dignity. If you pay people well, it is oil money coming and doing what it's supposed to do, benefiting the people of this country. People don't have to operate like this. The lady was shocked. She said, I heard my 5 children. She should have just videoed them. Video them. Show us.
I got your video, but me want to put it up. Sorry for you. So I got left it in my phone. But I had to watch it last night. I say, oh my, if you saw them, a grabble, big rich man, them with big chain. On their neck, if you saw them, a grabble, rich people. If you saw them, a grabble up, them poor people thing. Them people, that's not easy. Oh my God. We try make a line. We tell a lady. We carrying through the line for who not get not in the line. I tell a lady, I say, Auntie, please step aside. She said, why you say? Step aside where me moving? That done. So moving the chair, my hand jam she little pan she bag or whatever. Oh, you touching my bag like you want thief. You saw them people this are gone and you look shameful. Then give us 1,500, 1,200, one more. The dearest gift once he did about $3,000. Oh, you not got for beer, sir? And you said that? Who not said that? I start up here. Then the people ain't gonna bring the gift to you. They ain't gonna bring it to you. I not got for behave, so it look bad. It look embarrassing for we are adults and we got them ways, you know. I got 5 children and I can't go in and bully like that for a gift. I say what the people ain't got, then go give me.
We hope that y'all weren't there bullying those little children. Y'all got on your big gold chain and a $1,500 gift. Y'all fighting. Young lady said the most expensive gift got it, but $3,000. Y'all getting 100,000 coming. Why y'all fighting like this? You know, I'm going to ask my guest to make sense of that in just a quick second. But before he comes, folks, the Guyana Trade Unions Congress had a press conference just yesterday, and we're still unpacking it. So much that was said in this press conference, and I did say yesterday was a very, very substantive press conference. So much was said. One of the things that veteran trade unionist Lincoln Lewis touched on was what's happening at GECOM. This whole issue with Dr. Asha Kassoon and the joining list, and the fact that she was supposed to already admit that seat in the National Assembly, but she's squatting. Veteran trade unionists, as I said, Lincoln Lewis, will into GECOM on this matter. This is the first thing I'm going to ask my guest about because I heard him comment on it quite recently as well. Lincoln Lewis, folks, on Asha, GECOM, and the foolishness that's being allowed to happen by this installed government. Take a look, folks. Take a listen.
GTUC takes note of the situation at the Guyana Election Commission. This Congress believes that the voters list is corrupt and must be cleaned. Biometrics serves as one of the measures to deliver free, fair, and credible elections. GECOM, like us, would have read the reports by the local, regional, and international observers to the 2020 elections and before. Without exception, every report castigated the list and recommended reform. Why is it GECOM not prepared to act and correct the situation? GTUC does not want to hear about make-believe hindrances such as cost and the need for constitutional amendment. Money or constitutional amendment is not out of reach if we are desirous of delivering to the nation what the trade union movement initiated the struggle for: one man, one vote. Shame on GECOM for presenting excuses why something cannot be done, rather than take the lead and tell us how it can be done. The body was never intended to be impotent. An institution that tells you a problem within its remit cannot be corrected, rather than showing us how it can be done, is intellectually bankrupt and its leadership unworthy to provide service to this nation.
There you have it, folks. And without any further ado, I want to invite my guest this evening, the one and only Dr. David Hines is joining me this evening. Dr. Hines, welcome to our broadcast. Great to have you with us this evening. And I know you yourself had a press conference. This is the WPA, the Working People's Alliance, had a press conference on Monday, and you touched on a range of issues coming out of GECOM. This was one. You touched on the partisan structure of GECOM, the Sewage Valley model that has been abandoned. You talked about voter impersonation. Any part of this society, that's what we hope to capture in our program, that you look dysfunction. Make it make sense for us. Welcome, Dr. Hines.
Thank you very much, my brother. It's good to be here.
Good to have you.
Yes. Yes.
Make it make sense for us. Let us take voter impersonation, or maybe we start right there, because that was one of the I think one of the egregious things that came out of this last press conference of the Guyana Elections Commission, the fact that they admitted that this young lady, she might be a nice person privately and personally and so on, but she's squatting in the National Assembly. They know that. The National Assembly knows that. The PP knows that. But nobody is doing anything because she serves a purpose. Talk to us about that. Let's take it from there.
Yes, what came out of that press conference, Sherrod, is GECOM is complicit in violating the law. Look, when the thing was floated first by Ralph Ramkaran, all of us felt it sounded nice, it was a good thing. But we are lay people. GECOM, they're in charge of elections. They are the agency that must get this thing right. And they should have done their research and realize that that thing was not consistent with the law. They didn't do that. At some point, they obviously realized that they erred. They did nothing about it. People have been talking up and down that this lady's there, they're squatting. GECOM said nothing. And then 2 Fridays ago, it all came pouring out. We messed up. Well, you messed up. You couldn't wait until Friday to realize you messed up. Why not come out long before and say you mess up and sit down with the legislative branch? Because that's the lawmaking body, to do something about it. You did nothing. Same thing with vote impersonation. Madam Claudette Singh said very clearly that anyone who's not in the country on election day and voted, she said, is a breach of the law. A breach of the law. She said she had 8,000 possible 8,000 possible impersonators. She started by doing the right thing. She sent 2 bundles to the chief immigration officer. He sent them back. The first bundle, he said 173 people were not in the country. She sent back the second bundle. He said 99 of these people were not in the country. She, as a lawyer, know that that is a breach of the law.
Yeah.
All right? You did nothing about it. You, first of all, put them aside, and now you put them back. So you're putting back a potential voter impersonators inside of the box. And then you count it and declare an election based on it. Now, if you have 8,000 possible impersonators, if me 5,000 of those people were not in the country, that's a seat. The election was decided by a seat. Had you taken action, that could have changed the result of the election. We move on to the 47 boxes. About 12,000 votes in those 47 boxes. When the chief legal officer was asked by the reporter Dennis Chabral what the law said about what's going in, says about what's going in the box, he's smart. And then he said, the law said that you must have statutory documents, especially sensitive statutory documents. It makes sense. If you open the boxes, you are counting the votes. And you have to correspond the votes that you are counting with something.
Correct.
If you count and you say 7,000 votes are in this box here, but you don't have no statutory documents to prove that the 7,000 votes inside of this box, or 700 or whatever inside this box, it means that those votes are not valid because you cannot verify them without the statutory documents. Now, GECOM chair and GECOM know. They know that that was a breach of the law. Yet you put those 47 boxes in the thing, count all of them, and declare an election. So they declared an election knowing that they were potential and actual breach of the law, which according to our appeal court said that those votes were not valid votes. because you can't prove them. The PPP talks
Dr. Hines,
about, yeah.
what do you make, in addition to that, that when the Attorney General assumed his portfolio, he asked for those bundles as well, because he wanted to verify them personally over 2 years ago, since he received those bundles, in your words, from GECOM, but he hasn't come back as yet to say what his findings are. That's fascinating as well.
He, the chairman of GECOM, the 3 PPP commissioners, they should be before the courts. Because even if they did not participate knowingly in fraud, they're covering up fraud. He, as the chief legal officer of the state, you have potential fraud in your hand for 2 years, and you did nothing about it. And you have people before the courts, Lowenfield and all those people, for attempting to rig election.
Yeah.
So they're before the court for attempting to rig election, and you have rig election in your hand, in your face, all over, and nobody's before the courts. I find that fascinating. You know, Sherrod, what is more fascinating is that the media, the mainstream media, they're all quiet on this. Because you see, they all jumped the gun and said the PPP win the election. Now it is being shown that the PPP engaged in fraud before the election. GECOM covered up the fraud, and they now can't walk back. What they're telling us is, let's move on to 2025.
And expect we can get something different.
Expect
we'll have something totally different. As we're on that note, one of the aspects of electioneering and the election machinery and election governance and all that, the people like to talk about, is what the observers said, these observer missions. We've had several of them. We had the Carter Center, we had the American ambassador was part of the mission observing, we had the Commonwealth, we had the EU. A number of them proffered reports and moved forward by saying a lot of changes should happen at GECOM, the structure and all that, which is some of what came out in your press conference, the WPS press conference on Monday. This partisan nature of GECOM has got to change. This style of Claudette, as though she's in a courtroom, she's handing down a decision, she's not a consensus builder. That has seriously got to change. It was surprising that in this press conference, if you give us a quick second, I think they were asked also if they had implemented any of those things, and the answer was shocking. Take a quick look.
Since the 2020 elections, how many of the election observers' recommendations have you implemented and has the Commission discussed?
Well, of course, we are now, as you know, only recently a constitutional reform body was formed, so there was no constitutional amendments. So we're waiting on that to do constitution, but we did the laws, the RPA and our.
So true.
This is a body that wants to be taken seriously about election governance, and a government as well that likes to talk about rigged elections and make all these allegations, and they have done nothing to ensure the integrity of GECOM, integrity of the ballots. Nothing.
The first thing they should have done, GECOM, she telling us about constitutional, that's not our business. Constitutional reform is the business of the legislative branch. GECOM is concerned about running an election. You finish running an election, the first thing she should have done is to do a review of GECOM's performance in the election. She blocked that review. She has blocked it for 4 years. So she couldn't correct anything because she didn't do a review to see what's corrected. But as you said, the observer mission, and last night I went back and read the CARICOM report. CARICOM said that GECOM in its present state cannot conduct a proper and credible election. No, they contradict themselves, because they said GECOM in its present state cannot conduct it, but yet they sign off on the 2020 election, right? But what is important is, I said, GECOM in its present state cannot conduct an election. They pointed to the list. They pointed to the list. Now, Jack Dios informed us that we can do house-to-house registration. It will take a year. Elections are constitutionally due in a year. When Jack Dios tells you something will take a year, it can take 6 months. Because he's a scamp, right? He's a scamp. And when the scamp tell you 1 year, it can be done in half a year. All you have to do is to put the resources to it, get enough people in the field, do the house registration. The legislative branch go to the National Assembly. They put a bill there to get around what the Chief Justice said, because the Chief Justice said you can't take overseas people off. But you can pass legislation to have a voters list that is clean. All right? That is the job of the legislative branch. So put people in the field, start house registration, and do pass the law to facilitate it. Now they're doing registration for $100,000 grant. But you can't do registration for an election. I mean, Guyana is a lot.
And then get it done in less than 6 months.
That's right. That's right. You're busy taking out people's picture for $100,000 because you want to take them picture to rig the election next year. But you cannot get house-to-house registration in a couple of months. I was told today, 4 teachers coming from 4 different schools on the East Coast. Dr. Hines, teachers who are doing the registration for the $100,000, they're supposed to work after school, 3 o'clock to 7 o'clock. But people come in and calling the teachers out of their classrooms, give them a small piece of register me. No, I don't want to go in the line.
Wow. Well, this is something I think you spoke very substantively in the press conference on Monday. This whole issue of the cash grant. You talked about the frequent changes in the policy and process. You criticized the lack of a feasibility study and a structured approach. Broadly, you called for a national socio-economic audit post-distribution. My God, the things you'd see revealed in something like that, and you've raised concern about the potential misuse of the electoral process, and that we started out by initiating this cash grant to target poverty alleviation, high cost of living, but it seems to be morphed into all manner of things. Dr. Hines, talk to us.
I just come off my program with Pastor London, and he used a word, and since he's a man of God and he can use it, I can use it. The PPP is into political whoredom. I borrowed a word from Pastor. Whoredom. That's what they're into. Sharon, if the PPP was interested, like the Surinamese, in getting their people to share in the windfall, it would have been in the budget for 2024. If you intended in December 2024 to give people a share of their own money, you would have put it in the budget. You didn't put it in the budget. It means you had no intentions of giving people no money. You realize that the census is showing that your natural support base, the numbers not adding up.
Mm-hmm.
You look around. That's right. You look around, you say, boy, this cash transfer thing, I don't like it. Them WPA people, they come up with it, and the AFC said they like it, and the PNC said they like it, right? Here what we going to do, we're going to thief the thing because we bare face. We're going to thief it.
Correct.
So they thief it, but thief man does thief machine that he can't walk. So when a thief man, thief machine, he can you sell them quick, right? Because he can't walk it. So they thief something, they know what the switch there, they know nothing. So they don't know anything about what they thief.
They know what voltage it's working with.
What their interest is to use this thing to make money. So the thief man thief, he sell them to make money. So they want to sell this thing to the Guyanese people to get some unsuspecting people to vote for them, but also as part of the corruption to put money in their pocket. So they roll the thing out. First day they roll it out, the thing roll wrong. But by time for them morning, they change. They change. No household, because they can't even spell household properly. Right? So they say we're going to give it to individuals. Then we point out, you all are not giving it to individuals. You all are giving it to voters. 18 years and over is voter. Individuals is everybody in the society.
Yeah.
All right? You are giving it to voters. We brackle them with that. They say, all right, we're going to give it out for people for Christmas. Christmas coming, the bells are ringing. And then they realize, oh, Jesus Christ, we got to go now and beg Sherrod and them in the National Assembly for this money, but them buys the tail wither. So they're ducking pan you all, ask for the money, but they can only get half the money. So, oh, geez, all right, we're going to give you all out, but you all got to wait till next year budget to get the next half. They do not know what they're doing because they're not interested in it. They're not interested in poverty alleviation. They're interested in whoredom. And you started the program by playing that lady and how we're going on. What this government is doing, Sherrod, above and beyond all the politics, they're messing up the minds of our people. When we take power next year, God help us, we not only have to run a government, we got to scrub and clean out our people's minds. They're turning our people into beasts. Into monsters.
Yeah. The girl said, man with big chain fighting for $1,500 tie.
What manner of people are there? You know, look at what's up. You talk about what's happening in our roads, what's happening in the courts. These people have corrupted our entire society. When they corrupt such people, they're going to corrupt people from the pulpit, where you get now pastors and preachers fighting for get little money, and they're going and preach wrong gospel on the pulpit.
Wrong doctrine
on the pulpit. The PPP has really messed the soul of our society, our country, and our people up. We are in really, really bad shape. And so this cash grant, I want our people to get the little small piece. $100,000 makes a difference. But look at the hoops our people have to go through in order to get $100,000. Look what the Surinamese do. I'll come in 2028. But in 2024, the Surinamese said we get a small piece from the royalty. Here is 750. We put it in an account for you. You can get interest. By then you get it in 2028, it gone up from 750. That is what you call a government that is saying this oil belongs to you and we are giving you your share even before the oil start pumping. Here in our country, our oil start pumping and they are not intending to give our people any money. They intend to make our people engage in whoredom to get a little freck from them. Bad business.
Yeah. And then again, as you mentioned, some people will get no, and then some will not, which seems to defeat the purpose, because if you're targeting the high cost of living, how are you doing it in this haphazard way? You say you're targeting the high cost of living locally, but you've included people who live in the diaspora, who are not in our economy. As a matter of fact, they're the ones sending the remittances home to keep us afloat. So the policies are all over the place, if you want to call them policies, or this hodgepodge or this whoredom, as it were. They wake up and they come with these ideas. Folks in Georgetown were registered, and then you gone to Tabachinga and all these different places, and you started sharing out there. Nobody seems to be knowing. There's a coherent plan, and you've spelled out there, at least for the Surinamese, something that looks like a coherent plan in this. Where's the app, the cash grant app that they promised us, right? there seems to be a shifting tide. Every day you wake up, there's a new component added to it.
They make Columbus look stupid. They make Columbus look like a Sunday school boy. They discover a new discovery every day. Before the end of the year, before all years, Sherrod, they're going to discover some other things that need to be put in place to get this $100,000. What we are discovering, I got 2 calls. One from somebody very close to the Guyana embassy in Canada, and the Guyana embassy in New York. And they're printing passport and sending to those places. The passport now doing in Georgetown. And they're sending passports. The demand for passports in Canada and New York has now gone through the roof. These are people who are Canadian citizens, who are American citizens, who don't have a Guyanese passport, but they have applied for the Guyanese passport to come home for Christmas. Some of them come home for the cricket already, and they're going to stay through Christmas. The $500 is to pay them back partly for the passage that they come. And they're going to turn those passports over. And as you know, those passports will go through the rigging machine, and they will appear on election day for voter impersonation. That is what they're up to. That is what they're up to. A man called me from New York today in tears, because I don't want to out him, but he see what they're doing at the consulate in New York. He said, it's sickening. It's sickening what they are doing. So this all cash grant business is a scheme. It's a scheme to help to rig the election. Voter impersonation is part of the PPP plan. That is why they do not want biometrics. They do not, because biometrics will skin them up. They don't want it. And so the cash grant is not an end in itself to put money in people's pocket. It's a means to an end. That is a bribe. They're giving Guyanese people of $500 a bribe in order to get the ad and taking people picture. As I think is London was telling me tonight, he said, nobody take out pictures of ID to give cane cutters and sugar workers $250,000. They didn't have them. The fishermen and fisherwomen didn't have to take out the picture of the ID to get their money. All the other people that got cash grants, they didn't have to take out the picture. But all of a sudden, no, for $100,000, they got to take out the picture. Hoard them, and Hinta Beniba, Kwashiba must take notice.
Take notice, indeed. You know, I want to wrap up our discussion this evening as we approach program time. You mentioned biometrics. This seemed to be something when you listen to the GECOM press conference, they are morbidly afraid of. It doesn't seem to me as though they're really approaching this frontally. And I wanted to also you to touch on powership, the powership, because the two are linked. Arnold says they want biometrics because they got blackout election day. The election might swing to the PNC, UPNU, AFC, WPA. It might swing to the parliamentary opposition, might swing our way. So this power thing here, so they don't seem serious on solving the power issues 4 years later. Listen to what came out of the GECOM presser on biometrics. Very interesting. Very, very interesting.
I cannot speak more about biometrics because, as I said before, it's still before the commission.
Yeah, I'm not asking you about it. I'm just trying to figure out what were you trying to determine in the first place and what are you now trying to determine? Because it's a study that you're seeking to
If I'm going to tell you that now, I will have to go into it, and I cannot go into it. They have not discussed it. We have to first discuss it.
Do these commissioners give you a headache?
They have not discussed it. It was there for about a week or two, and they did not. They just They wanted biometrics all the time. They're saying they want it, and they just went around. Right now, we are with one set had said, look, let us put it first to the the stakeholders. But we said no, we must have a position. Let us discuss it here. So that is where we are now. So on the next meeting, which hopefully will be Tuesday, I'm expecting them to discuss the study.
You don't want biometrics, but you could do all this registration for the cash grant overnight. And then Big Uncle Gordon pulled the ace out his hat. He said, Mr. Deputy Chief, you didn't do a report on biometrics a couple of years ago. Where we are on that? Biometrics though.
Yeah, look, biometrics is to, it's not going to ensure that you don't have any skullduggery at all, but it will go a long way towards decreasing skullduggery. And the objective of any elections commission is to do exactly that, right? To try to plug as many holes as possible to ensure that there is a free election. What is it, a free and fair election? What is it she doesn't want to talk about biometrics? What is the secret?
Yes, and I mean, Doc, even away from content, what do you make of the form? This kind of feeble chairman, I ain't think you frightening. We've had very commanding presences as GECOM chairman in the past, and I don't put. We have strong women in our country and society in commanding leadership roles, but this she's not leading. She's following Anil Gidding. She's following the chief elections officer there. She's following. She's not leading. She's hiding at the back and hoping, and she's pointing who must take which question. I don't know. Even when she's present, she's absent.
Yes, you see, she's a prisoner of what she did in 2020 with forces outside of her mind. She's a prisoner of the PPP, and now we have turned up the heat on her. You see, the light is shining. So she is now caught in between three forces: the external forces, the PPP, and now being the opposition have turned up the heat on her. And she really is out of it. She's out of it. Look, as you said, there's a partisan commission. I don't see the PPP and PNC saying we pulling out the GECOM and we left it to civil society. Because we ain't got no non-partisan civil society. So the PPP and PNC going to say we going to remain in the commission. Then the chair has to be the arbiter. The chair has to be the neutral arbiter. And the rest of his body did it, as we pointed out in the press conference. He never uses casting vote. When they're arguing, he said, well, all right, you all come to a consensus. And he was able to get them to come to consensus. He used his casting vote one time. It was when Ramotar wanted him to open the boxes in 2015. He said no. He used his casting vote and said no. This box that she opened the other day, and then when she opened and the drumbees come out, she run from the drumbees. The one time Storage Bali used the casting vote, he said, was when they tell you open the boxes. He said, not me. But other than that, he said his role was not to vote with one side or the other, because they're partisan sides. And if you vote with one side, you're really voting with one party. And so therefore the casting. And we feel that going forward, when she goes, a new chairperson comes in, we have to ensure that that chairperson doesn't use the casting vote. Mm-hmm. So long as we have a partisan commission, we cannot have a chairperson that votes with one side or the other, because you're voting with one party. So the casting vote has to go. You can't legally take away the casting vote, but you can put in the rules that the casting vote should be used as the very last resort. Internal GECOM rules. Because you can't legally tell the chairperson you can't use a casting vote. But in what you all in Parliament call the standing orders, right? You put in the standing orders that the casting vote should only be used when it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah, and Doc, hopefully that new person is somebody with lots more energy. This low energy chairperson, we don't like it at all. Let's end on this. I did ask you about power supply, the power shift, and your thoughts on that. But look, some of what this might give you some context. Look what's happening in Kingston with power. I mean, it's just madness. 4 years later, and they still want to blame who were there before. And every guy needs to know, we didn't do a lot of things right, but we're getting power right. We're coming out of this persistent blackout phase.
At one of the Kingston generating stations early Tuesday morning, destroying a number of engines at the station. The Guyana Fire Service responded, but by the time it arrived, the staff on the ground had contained the blaze. According to a source at the power station, the number 4 engine had been down for the longest while. The number 3 engine had a problem with the alternator. This has been sent overseas for repairs and it hasn't been returned. It's the same situation with the number 1 engine. The alternator has also been sent for repairs and is still to be returned. The management, headed by Basil Badesi, took the decision to transfer the alternator from the number 4 engine to the number 1 engine. This engine caught fire and sent the Guyana Fire Service rushing to the scene. The number 2 engine is down for maintenance. It has been stripped down. The fire damaged the parts that had been lying on the floor. The result is that the Kingston 1 power station has no engine operating at this time. 4 of the 5 generating sets at Kingston 2 are in operation, along with the 3 sets at Reed and Hoop. These are supported by the 4 at Garden of Eden. A total of 11 of the 16 sets operated by the Power Producers Distribution Incorporated are in operation, with a 22 megawatt decline in power to the national grid. Additionally, the 11 sets purchased last Christmas and located at Columbia are still using light fuel oil, diesel, and not running on heavy fuel oil as was intended. Diesel is more expensive and a few of the sets aren't working. The system is also plagued with bad fuel being supplied. This has caused the damage of the turbocharger of one of the sets on the rented fuel vessel. That is not in operation. Power Producers and Distributors, Inc., PPDI, was incorporated under the laws of Guyana as a state-owned entity. It was established in December 2016. It's responsible for the distribution of power from the various generating sets. PPDI technicians have been complaining all year of bad fuel that they are receiving from GPL, who is responsible for supplying the fuel.
I was asking if anything working in this country.
Nothing. Nothing. And for a first world country, in terms of the money that we are generating, that we can't get that right. Car power ship, when we did our research, we were shocked. In every country that car power ship is operating, people have problems with them. In every country that they operate. Yet that is the company that they have done business with. And this is the track record of the PPP. Yeah. It's like they don't smell the most corrupt thing to go with. Yeah. Birds of a feather flock together, and we can't solve that. What are we going to solve? We're talking about gas to shore pipeline is going to make things better? No.
Yeah, but how are we going to make it better, Doc? I wish we had more time. The time's even run out on us. How are we going to make it better if you choose a company like Fulcrum that registered a year ago and right now cannot raise the capital on the international market to move the process forward? You have said it correctly. Like they just go after all these corrupt, half-baked people and ideas and companies to try to develop this country in the name of development. Are we moving forward? Fulcrum is worse than the one that they had for the Amila Falls.
Right,
Worse than
right,
that, a man
right,
just left
right.
Exxon the other day, form your own company, and they give the man the whole gas to short thing and say, run it. Struggling now.
It's the hustle. It's the hustle. The hustle. The hustle.
Hustle nation.
Yeah.
Doc, you have to come back. We got a lot to talk about.
I'm always ready whenever you are.
That's
And
I know.
I have to
That's
confess.
sir.
I have to make a confession. I usually thief some of your time because I just go over the time. But tonight I couldn't thief plenty because you me. You bring me on. So I couldn't
you see these old teams we got to deal with? Go and send no more.
It's always a pleasure. Keep on doing the work because I tell you, what you do and what the others of us
all
do,
of us as a collective,
we stand in between the total breakdown of our country. If it were not for what we are doing, God help us.
Labor of love.
Thank
Doc,
you.
Thanks again. That's our
All
time,
right,
folks.
brother.
That's going to do it for us in this episode. That's our time. That's the program. We're going to see you guys back here on the next one, and that's the last bell. Stay safe. Have a great evening on, and thanks again, Dr. David Hines. He is the co-leader and the presidential candidate of the Working People's Alliance, the WP, and a man I respect tremendously. Thanks for joining us again, Doc. Stay safe.